Live from PATV Studios, it's the Lyle Style Show. And now, the man with the most style, it's your host, Lyle Style.
Hey, welcome to a beautiful edition of the Lyle Style Show. This is a special Friday edition of the Lyle Style Show because my guest is special itself. Matter of fact, he was my first guest on the Lyle Style Show, and now he was mayor back in the day, but now he's running for governor. I want to introduce you to Ross Wilburn. Hey, Ross, man, thank you for coming back on, man, my show, man.
Good to see you, long time.
Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you.
Yeah,
oh, my
very good.
goodness. I mean, look, since we last talked in 2012.
Yes.
Wow, a lot has happened in your life.
It has.
Oh, my goodness. You're from university now. You're doing big things in Iowa State.
Iowa State. So I've been living in Ames for the past 3.5 years now, working for...
Well, come on, let's get a little background on what's going on with you so people know.
Sure. I'm working at Iowa State University Extension and Outreach. I was at the Iowa City School District before, and they invited me to apply for a position as diversity officer and as the associate director of community and economic development. And so I went there, took it out, and it's been good. Life's been pretty good.
So you've been living there, or you've been going back?
I've been living in Ames. Real science and engineering, agriculture there, and here we've got the medical school, but emphasis on liberal arts. And whilst both schools have that, you know, I enjoy university towns in either case, but there's in Iowa City, there's a little bit more emphasis, or I guess a scale, in terms of the arts and music. For example, here the Arts Fest is 3 days, the Jazz Fest is 3 days, the Soul Fest is a couple days. There's you know, several other festivals, and they've got a few festivals in Ames, but just not as many days long. So just a little bit, but I enjoy both places.
Well, actually, I mean that's a good thing. So I mean now you're originally from Davenport.
I went to junior and high school in Davenport. I'm originally from Galesburg, Illinois. Yeah, my father was working for International Harvester, making combines. So I was affected by the farm economy back then.
Wow.
But he got tired of driving back and forth between Galesburg and Davenport. So when I started 6th grade, it was in Davenport.
Davenport. Did you went to high school there?
Davenport Central, class of 1982.
Oh my goodness, you're still young, man.
You know, I'll take every year I can get, though. Every year I can get.
Wow, because I remember you was on the show 2012, man. You was telling me about your situation running for mayor and how you won being a mayor and being the first African American to be mayor in Iowa City. Right. Really was a big deal back then. Then a lot of stuff was going on, and how older lady came up to you, was talking to you about you being, you know.
Oh, yeah. We had been discussing it. I remember you asking the question about the significance of that, and I said for some people it made a difference, for others not so much. And I knew that would be the case, but when I walked out of City Hall that day, I bumped into someone, and she had tears in her eyes, and an African American woman, and she said, I just didn't think it was possible, and I'm so proud right now to be in Iowa City. And so for some people it matters, and for others not so much.
It was a blessing, man. Yeah, that's what the whole thing about change, man.
Right. Changing
people's perspective about stuff, and you know, you came on the show. I mean, because I knew you back in the '90s and stuff like that. So so you were very well known in Iowa City back then, and then you ran for mayor. You did good things and stuff like that. So. Then you started doing things at the university? Was it university or what school?
Well, I taught at the University of Iowa for 3 years at the School of Social Work, and I ran the Quad Cities Graduate Center, so I was back and forth between Iowa City and Davenport then. So I've been doing a lot of traveling the past 3.5 years at Iowa State Extension and Outreach, because I'm the diversity officer.
Okay, diversity, now what does that entail?
Teaching our staff how to work with people who have a different cultural background than their own, whatever that might be, and we do that through a specific curriculum. And then there's situations that come up that I consult with, and then an opportunity to get back working with cities with our community economic development piece. We've got staff that help with you know, redeveloping urban and rural economies.
Oh wow! Yeah. That's I mean, that's some good stuff, man. Really some good stuff. Now so then. And also back in the day, you was with the
United Action for Youth.
United Action for Youth.
Yeah, as a youth worker for about 9.5 years. I worked with teenagers and their parents. So we had the drop-in center, runaway and homeless youth, but all youth were coming down there. And I think that's kind of a theme as part of the work that I've been doing at Iowa State, but also part of our campaign in terms of creating a welcoming and inclusive Iowa. So that's been a theme throughout my life.
Yeah, I know. Man, okay, now, now you have a kid, you have a daughter?
I have a son and a daughter.
Son and daughter, okay, yeah. And okay, tell me a little bit about how they're doing.
They're doing well. My son is 26, and my daughter's 23, and I have no idea where the time went. But yeah, they do. They do. My son is working for Iowa Fire Equipment Company.
Okay,
and my daughter is finishing up at Marquette with an advertising degree.
Wow, man! She can run your campaign.
She's been doing some of the social media, Twitter stuff. She told me I might pull a muscle if I.
Oh, no.
She's got me doing it, but.
Wow, because I know I've seen you on Facebook and stuff like that with your kids, and I know you do the RAGBRAI.
RAGBRAI. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and do you still teach the bike class?
Spin class. In fact, I teach in West Des Moines at Gold's Gym there.
Okay.
And then once a month I try and get back to Iowa City or North Liberty actually to teach in North Liberty at Core Fitness.
Wow.
And actually tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to Maquoketa. There's someone who wants me to, she's hosting a Meet the Candidate, Governor candidate at the library in Maquoketa, but she's a group fitness manager at the YMCA, so she and I are going to co-teach a spin class at 7 in the morning, and then we'll go to the Meet the Candidate event.
Oh my good man,
yeah.
Okay, you know what, see, this is a beautiful thing, man. You are so diverse with people, and people love you, especially in the state of Iowa. And people love you. You've done well with your life. I mean, just a blessing for you being African American and whatnot. But you reach not only blacks, you reach other people too. You reach outside. You can unite people together because you just have that type of personality, man. I'm really so happy to see what you're doing now. Now, let's get to you now. Now you're running for governor.
That's right.
Is the second African American to run for governor now?
As far as I know, I'm the second.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe a decade ago, there's a gentleman, Jonathan Narcisse, who was running, but I don't know if there was another before him.
I think you are the second one. But I think that you have that personality that you can really do well for the state. Now you gave me a little bit to think about. Okay, now you were aggressive. Now what is your campaign theme?
Our campaign theme is Let's Be Iowa. So in the areas of health, the environment, in terms of strong economy and that welcoming, inclusive Iowa. Let's put people into office that are going to take actions and act laws that are going to benefit benefit Iowans. Mm-hmm. And there's no secret to what it is. I mean, healthcare has been a big issue. I supported President Obama when he was running the first time to try and get the Affordable Care Act. In fact, it started with universal health care, but that was one effort, and it's something that is important for Iowans now. That has been attacked, the Affordable Care Act, as soon as it was put into place. But millions of Americans have health care now because of that. And since those efforts are being rolled back, there's some things that we can do right here in Iowa, like putting a single payer option in place.
Okay, what does that contain?
Well, it'll be an option for people to buy into a Medicare plan that wouldn't be able to. And then we also have Medicaid that there have been changes that have been privatized, and that's had a negative effect on people that have been receiving Medicaid for their health care and mental health care, as well as the providers. They're not being paid, and it's really, folks in the rural areas are struggling. Some of the hospitals are not offering health care to someone who might have Medicaid, and so it's putting pressure right here in Iowa City at University of Iowa hospitals and clinics. I know that the waiting line to get into the emergency room has been pretty severe, and people waiting for beds a long time. So it's something that we can do. The governor can roll back and have the state take over providing that Medicaid service.
Well, how come they haven't done it now? What's the deal?
Well, it's a different philosophy by our past governor and our current governor. And but again, it's Let's Be Iowa. Let's take care of each other so that there's no missed opportunity for people getting sick. You shouldn't have to worry about going bankrupt just because you get sick. And if people are well, they're contributing to society, they're enjoying their life, they're supporting each other. So healthcare as well as mental health care is an important issue.
Yeah, that is important now. Now, with what's going on in the wake of happened, a couple of days ago, I mean, mental health care is very much needed for this state, but really for the country. So what would you do about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And not everybody who has a mental illness is violent or carries out violence towards others. In fact, a lot of times it's self-directed. But, the governor had closed down some mental health centers for critical care for people that have severe mental illness to the point where they are a danger to themselves.
Right.
And told to close them down and no notice, but they have to go back into the community with no support in the community. And so, one, we need to have those critical options available, but there's also not enough providers in the state of Iowa. If you need some type of psychiatric evaluation or psychiatric care so that you're not at a danger for harming yourself, it's months wait, or people are having to travel to other states. So developing a comprehensive mental health system so that Department of Human Services, the Department of Education, our schools, the correction centers, that they're all working together so that we have a comprehensive set of care. I mean, right now, we are by default using our correctional system for providing mental health care. There's a disproportionate of people in our correction system that have mental health systems. In fact, I bumped into a woman who lives in Northwest Iowa, a Republican, and I'm running as a Democrat, and I know her from Ragbri. But she said, what's an issue that we could agree on? I said, mental health care. I bet you know someone. She said, well, my husband works, or her brother-in-law works at a correctional center, and he said that at more than half of the people incarcerated had mental illness and committed their offense for a variety, when they were off their medications for a variety of different reasons. So, that's something that impacts not only adults but young people. The earlier we can assess someone who has some type of mental illness, that they're needing that type of support, we need to have assessments available and services available in our school systems, so that we don't have young people that are a threat to themselves or committing acts against each other.
Oh, wow, without a doubt. I totally agree with that, that's a good platform to run on, to get that taken care of. And what do you think about the education?
There's both K-12 and post-secondary education, K-12 education.
But affordable education, how do we get to the place where these kids are not too much in debt? What would be the solution for this? It's got
to start with making corrections to the state budget, and in fact the governor's the proposal is to roll back some more taxes, and has been giving out corporate taxes. And when you give out corporate taxes without expecting anything in return, they're quoting small numbers of jobs, but that takes away that income, that revenue to the cities, the counties, and the state to put in services, to have funding available for schools. And the governor has put out the proportion, but and shows a pie graph showing that. But since the resources are shrinking, the amount of pie or amount of funding has not kept up with inflation.
Wow. Okay.
So we need to clean the budget up by rolling back some of the corporate tax breaks.
Okay.
And reprioritizing education, K-12 education, to a higher fashion, so that and using public dollars for public education. There's some talk about right now some bills that have been in the legislature. I think it's not going to make it past the first funnel, but an effort to they call it school choice, to have public dollars going towards private schools or homeschool. And that just kind of erodes the public school system that we have. And some of the private schools, they don't have to provide the support services for some of our young people that the public school has to do. And so that's one thing. In terms of higher education, doing what we can to control tuition. But for students, once we clean the budget up, I think there's some targeted programs that we can do.
Okay.
The state of Tennessee has a program, I believe it's Tennessee, where if you're an adult and you don't have a degree after high school or certificate, that if you give 2 years using your degree in the state, then after other forms of tuition, the state will pick it up, but you've got to use your degree in the state for a couple of years. So,
Wow,
we could do a Grow Iowa program, and we could kind of, I call it double scooping.
Okay.
We know we don't have enough mental health care providers, for example. If there's some students who would go into the mental health field, we give them that Grow Iowa program so they stay in the state for a couple of years. The balance of their tuition is covered by the state, and they're connected, providing a needed service in the state. And if they're here for a couple of years, maybe they end up staying here and raising families here.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
A wonderful idea right there. I mean, my goodness, Ross,
Yeah. Well, it fits the it's not a unique idea. There are some other states that are doing, and there have been some education programs tried here in the state, but we need to get back to those types of things, and that's part of Let's Be Iowa.
Wow, I like the theme. Let's be Iowa. Let's be Iowa. Wow, okay. So what would you? Okay, in your platform, we have a really good platform.
Oh, thank you.
So what other different things that you want to do for the state to make it better?
The environment is critical, and in Washington D.C. they've been rolling back some protections that the Environmental Protection Agency provides, but even here in Iowa, we've got polluting of our waterways going on. Iowa is a big polluter in terms of the water.
Yeah.
It's contributing to what they call the dead zone, where all these extra nutrients, nitrogen, and fertilizer is ending up down contaminating the Gulf of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we should be funding the Department of Natural Resources and giving them the directions to enforce some of the existing laws, review what they call the master matrix and manure application plans to help monitor that, and tell them to enforce that and hold the polluters accountable, whether it's in rural or urban areas. That's part of it. But a few years ago, I think back in 2007 or 8, there was an amendment passed so that a state sales tax could be used for a trust fund for my environmental features, 3/8 of a penny. Some people say a sales tax is regressive, meaning it may affect low-income person of colors. But there's some things you can put in place to correct that, so that you're not paying that 3/8 of a penny for food or things like that. But and I've got relatives in Michigan.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you ask in Flint, Michigan, if you ask them, would you have been willing to pay 3/8 of a penny on your purchases so that you'd have clean water? They would do
well, they jumped up and down for that,
so,
right there.
but those are a couple opportunities. But when I was mayor, I signed the 2007 U.S. Mayor's Climate Protection Agreement, and Iowa City put into place some review of its energy use and practice, replacing the street lights with LED bulbs to reduce energy use and our carbon footprint. But also, the Eastside Recycling Center with the partnership with the Habitat Restore. That's something that got put into place. Kind of following that environmental theme from me signing that agreement, and worked with the Sierra Club. They helped me put that together, and then even purchasing south of town the True Blood Lake.
Okay.
Purchasing that from a private, the sand quarry was there, and then we purchased the land all the way to the river to help protect the Iowa riverfront down there. And so, but that just kind of set the city and, kind of freed city staff to think creatively in terms of environmental use.
Okay, now so let me ask you this. Okay.
Yes.
What makes you stand out different from the other candidates?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say,
I think given what some of the current governor and her predecessor have done in terms of the mental health impact and ruining the budget, I think we need to get a Democrat in place. Now, me compared to other Democrats that are running, I have 12 years experience as a local elected official, including as mayor, so an executive function. The governor's an executive office.
Right. Yes.
There's some of the candidates who have experience in government, but most of them don't. The breadth of my experience, I worked in the K-12 education system, so in Iowa, having been a student, a parent of students, a staff member, as well as working as an agency partner working with schools, so I'm familiar with the needs of putting out high-quality students, a great, safe experience for them, and so that work is a safe place to work and learn, but also just the importance of our labor unions, Education Association.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You know, Chapter 20 was the power of Chapter 20 to be able to collective bargain for the benefits that all of us enjoy. You know, that was taken away. So that's something that needs to be put back in place.
So we need to get that back then.
Yes.
So would that be one of your goals to kind of get that back?
Yeah, absolutely. So education and being the director of a private nonprofit business, the Crisis Center, and you know that mental health piece, working with volunteers and paid staff, both with the counseling line and the suicide depression line, but also the food bank, and knowing the impact of the economy, poor economy, and food and nutrition through work there. So just the breadth of my experience. I served in the military, National Guard for 6 years, so being familiar with how policy impacts veterans. Absolutely. So that's what I'm putting forward, is the breadth of my experience, both in public, private.
Oh yeah, because you definitely have a lot of you probably served Iowa National Army National Guard. Yeah. Social worker, youth worker, United, for youth action executive for the Crisis Center. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He's equity officer. I said school district. Mayor for 12 years. Iowa State University expansion and outreach program. You're definitely qualified.
Thank you. Yeah.
But not only qualified, you're very down to earth type of person, so people can relate to you. You know, you're not stuffed shirt. You're not wearing a suit. I mean, you're just down to earth.
I meant to dress up today, but I just a little. We're in the living room.
Yeah, it's just my living room, man. I mean, but you could if you want to, though. I've seen you dress up before, man. But you're very health conscious. This state is very health conscious. You know, Iowa City is, and so you have a lot to offer. Not only for the youth, but for the older people too. Yeah, I think you could unite everybody, you know, minorities, you know, all kind of people.
Well,
so I just like to see that. I like to, and just fun to talk to, man. You know.
Oh, well, thank you.
And
you are too. Yeah.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
But you know, I mean, the focus of the campaign is not me. I mean, I have a set of experiences and skills that I'm willing to offer. I've done it. You know, in all of my jobs that I've had, just service to Iowans and offering that. But the theme is "Let's be Iowa," and it's something that I want to help champion.
Let's be Iowa.
Yeah.
So that is what you if you had to put the definition for "Let's be Iowa," what?
It's a common sense approach to responsible government. Government can't do everything, but government has a role in helping improve our lives and creating opportunity for all of us, whether it's healthcare, jobs, environment, education, all of that.
Okay. Now we have 10 minutes for the show. So in 10 minutes, what would be? Okay, you told me a core. We covered a lot of things about your campaign and what you're doing. So what would you want to take off? What would you want to tell the viewers really about Ross?
Yeah, about me. I think mainly that I have benefited and tried to learn from everyone that I've worked with, whether that's young people, whether that's senior citizens, through involvement as a volunteer, even performing with the senior bands in the area, just to get to know people and just to set that tone that we can improve community, we can be involved in community. It's something I've tried to teach my children, and I've tried to be open to learning from them, to learning from people that I work with, that I'm involved in recreation or fitness with, folks that are in a different cultural background than my own. I mean, I fully support folks in the LGBTQ A+ community, and even when I was with the Iowa City School District, I tried to help support the teachers who would take young people to the Safe Schools Conference. I was the governor's conference on LGBTQ youth.
That's a wonderful
so just
thing,
really just we can improve our state and improve opportunity. Whether you're rural, urban, young, old, all Iowans, we can if we work together, we try and take action and put people in office that are going to be consistent with how will this help improve the lives of Iowa
Right.
with an appropriate role for government?
Amen. That sums up a lot of things up about what you're doing. I mean, because I had a Gleason. She's on my show.
Kathy Glasson.
Yeah, because she know you too,
Yep.
and she says a lot of good things about you and stuff like that. And you know, it's just a breath of fresh air for you to come up, because like a half hour is not long enough to really
Sure.
talk. You have to come back on the show again, though.
Okay.
You really do. I'm definitely going to invite you on the show again. But I mean, what you're talking about is really needed for the state. Not only for the state too, but for a lot of things, you know, around the country. You know, with the school shootings that's going on, so sad, you know, mental health care, we touched on that, you know, and what do you think about gun control for this state? You think we need it?
Absolutely, yes. Sensible gun control, you know, putting the mental health issue aside, and it's interesting that, you know, our current president and some of the Republican leadership in D.C., they only talk about mental health when it's related to somehow the conversation around gun control when one of these unfortunate incidents come up. But gun control, responsible, sensible gun control, it's not about thwarting the Second Amendment. I support the Second Amendment and all, you know, all the Bill of Rights. But you know, back when the founding fathers put the country together and the Constitution, you know, there's certain things that they couldn't envision, and that's why they put the amendments in so that there's flexibility to make things sense, honoring the past, but it makes sense for the time. And these military assault weapons, you know, you don't need them for hunting.
No.
And
why do you need them? Period. Unless you're in the service.
Well, I mean, there are some people that enjoy the target practicing that, you know, that type of thing. But it's really about the guns, and it's really about, there's too many of them. They're too easily accessible in Florida. It's easier to get an AR-15 than a handgun, and that just doesn't make sense. So let's put some things in place. And the majority of members of the National Rifle Association support sensible gun control. You know, getting rid of the bump stops. You know, the public doesn't. You know, there's one purpose for military-grade weapons, and that's to kill as many people as you can rapidly, and so we don't need that. You know, law enforcement, they are not supportive of those. There's some things we can do to come together, but you know, the NRA has a very strong lobby, and people need to vote and keep these incidents in mind when they vote.
I totally agree with that. Now, I mean, now you on Facebook? Are you? How can people reach you?
We're on Facebook, Ross Wilburn for Governor. They can go to letsbeiowa.com as the webpage. In fact, we're revamping the webpage to push some more. It was more of an introductory webpage that we've had up. We're putting some more. There's 9 position areas that we're putting up, some of which we've talked about today. But probably in a week, what is this, third week of February, the rest of those issues will be up. So those are the, otherwise, traveling around. I'm going to be in Maquoketa and Des Moines tomorrow, and Knoxville and Albany on Sunday. So I'm traveling around.
You do the whole state, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. I mean, you'll be a great governor.
Oh, well, thank you.
Say that.
Yeah. You know, and I, you know, you mentioned Kathy Glasson. She was here. She's been doing some great things, running a good campaign. I think all of the Democrats have been running solid campaigns. We needed to get a Democrat in there.
Oh, yeah, we do.
I'm asking for the honor and privilege of being governor.
And I give you the honor, young man, because I think you'll be a good governor. I really think so. But I want to say thank you again for doing this half-hour show with me and whatnot. I really appreciate that from my heart. Come back on the show again. Okay. We can talk a little bit about, you know, towards the end of before November.
Well, the primary election is June 5th. Okay. And so I've got to make it past the primary.
Okay. After that, you come back on the show.
Okay.
What you will.
Well, I'd like maybe before, just to to make sure. But I think it's your show. You tell me.
Okay. No. We'll work that out.
Okay.
We'll work that
Sounds
out.
good.
Yep. So God bless you, man. Hey, Ross. Right. Hey, man. God bless you, man.
Thank you, and you too.
All right. You're a good guy, man, and I'm for you. I'm 100% for you, man.
All right, appreciate it.
So, yeah, but I want to say, hey, first I want to just thank Ross for being on the show, and want y'all to, hey, don't argue, whatever, get out and vote.
Yes.
If you want, get out and vote. That's all I have to say, get out and vote. And I want to give my condolences to everybody out there in Florida, what happened. My condolences. My prayers are out there for Florida. I mean it, lifestyle, Ross for the same way. So my prayers and everybody, family in Florida. So I want to end the show. I want to say, get out and vote. Everybody, don't argue, don't complain. If you're tired, vote.
Yes.
Vote for the right person. So with that said, hey, Denzel, I'm sorry, man. I'm not getting you on the show, man. Next time you come on the show, I get you on here, Denzel. Talking about Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
You're going to be on my show one of these days, man. We'll do it. So as that, I want to say, everybody out there, remember, keep it classy. Keep it classy. I'm out of here. Peace.